We got to talk about jobs. We have to talk about the labor market, and we have to talk about local economies, particularly local economies affected here by the COVID crisis right here in New York City. A lot of challenges ahead here, a big budget deficit, and of course, a labor market that's not expected to return to pre-pandemic levels until 2025. A new mayor here, Eric Adams, taking over, hoping to revive a little bit of what New York had in the past. Jessica Walker going to be joining us right now. She is the president of the Manhattan and CEO of the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce. Jessica, I live in Manhattan. I work in Manhattan. I walk these streets every day, and the number of businesses that I've seen shuttered that I used to go into every day are no more. The streets are not nearly as congested as they used to be prior to the pandemic, and I miss that. And I wonder what it takes to get us back, if we can, to what we had before the pandemic.
No, you're absolutely right. Manhattan really has become the epicenter of what's being felt for small businesses in New York City right now, because they were so reliant on tourism, which we lost a lot of, and also because there's so many office workers who are working remotely. And so that's the feel that we're missing in Midtown Manhattan in particular. We just don't have the foot traffic that we usually would.
So when you talk to these small business owners right now, Jessica, and we're having these same conversations here in Canada as well. Hey, I have taken on a lot of debt to get through this pandemic. I'm trying to pay that off. I'm still trying to get back to a picture of revenue that looked like what we were at, a couple of years ago. What are they looking for more than anything else? Is there any common theme that you're hearing?
Well, first and foremost, obviously, we're trying to get to a place where we're dealing with the health crisis. Omicron, of course, just threw a wrench into everybody's plans. And so, we continue to deal with that on the policy level in terms of vaccine mandates. There's a lot of these things are moving here in the city. And so we're trying to get that under control. That's the most important thing. Beyond that, though, we're very optimistic with our new mayor, Eric Adams. He has made a call for corporations to try to bring back their employees to the office, which would be a tremendous boost, again, for a lot of the small businesses here. And beyond that, I think you're right. We are seeing it's all about the revenue. And so whatever we can do to try to get more money into the hands of those small businesses, we need to do it. And that starts with us as consumers.
Well, but talk a little bit more about how you bring those people back. I mean, there have been some major structural shifts in how we work. A lot of people who are either working from home or working in remote locations, many of whom have no intention of coming back. Some companies are even willing to accommodate those people, not all of them. There's some concern here that, at least in terms of whatever aggregate number we had in terms of people working in this city, working in this borough pre-pandemic, that we may not see that, at least not in the near future.
Well, that's true. But you should know the tech industry in particular is one of the industries that is growing in New York City. A lot of the big companies actually doubled down during the pandemic and continued to invest in real estate here and bring more workers here. They're hiring at such a fast pace that it actually is growing. But you're right. Overall, there are a lot of industries where we are seeing remote workers become the norm. And so that is going to continue. And that's something we have to figure out, just as other cities, I think, are trying to figure that out. But the number one thing we have to do is to remain competitive, to make sure that this is a place where people actually do want to choose when they're going to live somewhere. And so that starts with, making sure that our quality of life stays high, making sure that this is a safe city, and, really getting that vibrancy back that you mentioned earlier in terms of the restaurants and just the fun that you can have in New York City.
And I wonder if there's a good opportunity for a fresh dialogue around so-called red tape. Look, cities everywhere deal with that and get feedback from businesses on just being able to do business more efficiently in a better way. How are you thinking about that?
Yeah, it's one of the most important things, I think, especially with a lot of the small businesses having depressed revenue right now. It's so important that we're doing everything we can to cut costs for them where we can. And so I'm proud to say that our new mayor actually in his first week signed an executive order charging city agencies with looking at all the fines that they're pushing out. What are the largest fines and what can we do to offer some sort of relief? And that could be cure periods, meaning, for a first offense, you just tell the business that they need to correct it and there is no fine, which I think is preferential for everybody. And so, yes, we do think that is very, very important. We do have to make it an easier place to open a business, run a business, and of course, get rid of some of these fines, which are just crushing a lot of the small guys.